Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the June Oldham County Board of Adjustments and Appeals. My name's Larry Outerback. It's 9:01, and we are now in session. Today we've got several cases. The process is going to be the same for each case. Here in just a second, I'm going to swear staff in. Gretchen will read the case. Staff's going to come forward and give us a staff report. There's going to be a round of questioning by board members to staff. And when we're done with that, staff's going to take a seat. I'm going to call you, the applicant, forward. You're going to come forward to the podium. Please make sure you speak into the mic. Please make sure you're at the podium if you are speaking at any part in the hearing. But I'm going to call the applicant forward. You're going to come up, raise your right hand, state your name and address, get sworn in, and justify your project. There will be a round of questioning by board members to you, the applicant, and when we're done with that, you may take a seat. I'm going to call forward anybody that wishes to speak in favor of the application, and then anybody that wishes to speak in opposition to the application. I'm going to call you forward. Come up to the podium, raise your right hand, be sworn in, state your name and address, and tell us why you're in favor of the application or tell us why you're opposed to the application. Again, there'll probably be a round of questioning by board members to that audience, and when we're done, you may take a seat. I'm going to open it up to the board for questions to anybody, and then I'm going to close the floor for public hearing, open it up for general discussion among the board members, and I'll call for an up and down vote. All right? Phones, please make sure your phones are off or on vibrate. Board members, same with you. If you need to use your phone, please just excuse yourself from the courtroom and do whatever you need to. Just make sure it's off when you come back in. And board members, if you could please make sure your mics are on. And with that, let's swear staff in.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Gretchen, if you'd like to read the first one, please.
OC 24-021, an application has been filed requesting a conditional use for an owner-occupied short-term rental property on property located at 5900 Old LaGrange Road, Crestwood. This agenda item was tabled from the April 18th meeting.
Okay.
All right, Ryan Fisher, Senior Planner with Oldham County Planning, and on the note of tabling, received an email last night at 11:08, got it this morning, that applicant would like to request to table that hearing until next month. She's still working on that little sliver of property between her short-term rental and her primary residence. So,
Okay. I guess I need a motion to table that.
I'll move that.
Thank you, Bill. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Gretchen. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That one's been tabled. All right, Gretchen, if you'd like to read the second one, please.
OC 24-028, an application has been filed requesting a conditional use for a proposed detached accessory dwelling unit, a location variance, and maximum square footage variance on property located at 6460 Old Zering Road in Crestwood.
Okay.
all right, Ryan Fisher, Senior Planner with Oldham County Planning. So as Ms. Chitwood stated, this application has been filed for three different things here. We're going to be looking at a conditional use permit for a proposed detached accessory dwelling unit, a location variance for that being in front of a primary dwelling, and then a maximum square footage variance on the size. So we'll look at all three of those in depth as we go through. So the site information is set on an R2 residentially zoned portion of property, sits on 30 acres on Old Zering Road. No previous site history. As far as our case history, we did do all of our notifications, posting to our website at the end of May. We sent out adjoining property owner notices on the 6th of June, and it appeared in the Oldham Era on the 13th of June. So here is the large parcel of land that we'll be looking at on Old Zering Road. And sitting on that R2 and actual conservation zoned property, all of the dwellings you'll see here in a second are going to be in that R2 portion of land. So the applicant's requesting a conditional use permit for that accessory dwelling unit as well as those corresponding location variance and the maximum square footage variance on that 30-acre tract. So the applicant is proposing to build a 1,442 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom accessory dwelling unit with a 2-vehicle attached garage. The applicant will simultaneously be building a 5,611 square foot, 2-story, single-family home that will be located to the rear of the accessory dwelling unit. So here is the parcel of land that we'll be looking at, the 2 proposed structures. So the first one we'll look at here in this green circle is the accessory dwelling unit that will be being constructed in front of the primary dwelling. So here's our floor plans with a 2-story master bedroom on the first floor and a loft on the second floor. And then a couple of elevation drawings that were provided by the contractor. The second dwelling being the primary structure located to the rear. And then this is the plans for that home, with a finished basement. And we'll go over all these numbers here in a second when we talk about the maximum square footage. A couple of elevation drawings showing the primary house. So as far as the regulations go, section 250-040, E number 1 states that those detached accessory dwelling units may only be allowed after the approval of a conditional use permit. So that's the first reason why we're here. Section 250-040, E number 8, states that those detached accessory dwelling units cannot be located in front of the primary structure. So the applicant is requesting that location variance to place that ADU in front of the primary structure. According to the applicant's justification statement, and I'm sure the contractor can give you more information on this when they come up for their portion, the location of that ADU is being dictated by where they must place the primary structure on the property. And then section 250-040E number 5 states that those detached accessory dwelling units shall not exceed 25% of the primary structure's square footage. So the primary home, according to the applicant and the plans that were provided, is 5,611 total square feet, which includes that finished basement square footage of 1,969 square feet. So that would allow, based on those calculations, a maximum of 1,403 square feet of ADU area, and the applicant is proposing a 1,442 square foot accessory dwelling unit. So the applicant is requesting that maximum square footage variance of 39 square feet. And the applicant meets the remaining regulations that are found within that section 250-040. So we'll be looking at 3 different motions here. The first one being the conditional use permit for the accessory dwelling unit. The second one will be the location variance for the ADU being placed in front of the primary structure. And then the third one being the maximum square footage variance for the square footage being just over the 25% that's allowed by the regulation. I didn't type all these out individually, but the same conditions of approval apply for the CUP as well as the variances, and that's that they just shall apply to the plans considered at the June 20th, 2024 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. And if there's any others that you all would want to throw in there, you're more than welcome to. And with that being said, that concludes the staff portion of the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Questions?
Is that on the same side of Old Zering as Interstate 71? Is that like between Old Zering and Interstate 71?
I'm directionally challenged right now,
Yeah.
not looking at a map. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so from what I'm hearing, this request already falls short of 2 of our regulations, right?
3.
3, okay, all right,
Well,
2.
yeah, I mean, they're asking for the conditional use permit because they have to for the
Yeah,
accessory
I
dwelling
understand
unit.
that.
They're asking for the relief from being able to place it in front and then the relief of the 25%. So.
And is the house in the conservation easement area, or is it not in the, I'm trying to figure out exactly where this is.
The
The main house, I mean.
main house, it may be, I mean, looking at the line, it might be pretty close to that.
Could you
Is
put
that-
that back
I
on the
think it's
screen?
almost more, a little bit in this area.
Okay.
But I'll let you ask the applicant that to be exact.
Yeah. Is that permitted to build a house in a conservation? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Ryan?
No.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
And if we can have the applicant come forward, please. Good morning.
Good morning.
I need you to get sworn in and state your name and address.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Did you swear?
Yeah.
Oh, she did. Do you solemnly swear, yeah. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And name and address, please.
Go ahead, you first.
I'm Sandra Sutter, and my current address is 17005 Persimmon Wood Trail, Fisherville, Kentucky.
Okay, Sandra, thank you. And you?
Hi. Jeremy Esposito Construction. We're on Commerce Parkway.
Okay. And before you get started, what's the relationship to the project?
So I'm the contractor.
Yeah, okay,
Sandra's the owner.
thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, if you can justify the project.
Sure. So number one, the accessory dwelling unit, we are requesting that for generational living. We've got a mother-in-law that's going to be living with the family. Number two, number two was as far as the relation of the main house versus the accessory dwelling unit. The main house, the goal is to set the main house in the rear, A, for privacy, B, also to preserve the front half of the property for agricultural use, which we can talk about in a little bit. And three, as far as the square footage requirement, we try to tweak it as much as possible, but we could tweak it a little bit more if we had to. But we're about 39 square feet off between the two. So we didn't think that would be too much of an issue, but that both of those plans are what we've landed on, and they work best for the homeowners. So that's kind of justification for those three. Any questions?
All right. I'm sure you said it, I just missed it. Again, justify why the ADU in front of the primary structure?
Because we're preserving the entire front pasture for a agricultural use. It'll be a farm. And we didn't want to set it in the front, so it needs to set in the rear, and the only suitable place in the rear is that crest. If you see right where that CO, if you look on your screen, that's kind of a ridge that runs right there. And so right under the parcel number and between that and that green is where the house is going to sit, and that kind of overlooks the vista. Those pines you see there are kind of down low. So it's kind of falls off right there, and that would be the best place, in the rear property to set the main house. But we don't want to take up any of the pasture on the front of where you can see that fence line going across. And the accessory unit would set right on that fence line, just in there.
Okay. So both of which will be in the R2 zoning,
That's correct.
to answer Bill's question. And you're asking for the main house to be right at the edge of the R2 and CO1,
Approximately, yes, sir.
close to it, and then the ADU is going to be at the fence line that we're
That's
seeing on the
correct.
screen. And again, I didn't hear a justification to have the ADU in front. Why not swap the two? Why not have the primary structure in front and the ADU
Because
in
it's
the back?
not the best place. The accessory is much smaller than the main unit. The main unit would, as far as drive, turnaround, that kind of stuff, would hinder the agricultural properties of the front half of that property. And their ability to use that as agricultural land. It will be, we've got about 1,200, 1,300 hazelnut trees planned for a truffle farm. They're being planted.
Okay. So I guess, board, we have three the CUP and then the two variances. So let's stick with the first one, which is the ADU, and then if we want to progress from, the second one being location, third one being size. So let's concentrate on ADU first. Do you guys have any questions on ADU?
No.
And again, this is going to be 3 different motions.
I have a question just in terms of the overall quality of construction for the project.
Yes,
Is
sir.
Is it fair to ask what's the total construction cost for the whole project?
We're working on
Can't
numbers
ask
now, but
Okay.
It's going to be quite nice.
Yeah, so it's not a shed type thing?
this is more than they want to spend, I think.
Right,
But,
okay.
Yeah, it's nice and in accordance with the other properties out there.
Okay, so it's not like a steel building type thing?
It can't be.
Okay.
So, those parcels, they're about 30 acres, all of them. And there's some things, some building quality materials that have to be done on each of them, which have already been approved by the former property owner. I don't know how to explain that, but they have to be. And the accessory dwelling unit has to match the house too.
Okay.
Like in the materials that are being used. So they will look very similar too.
Okay.
It's not a post frame building. It would be traditional construction techniques. It's hardy board and batten with stone. It's going to be a very nice
Okay, good, thank you.
finish.
Is it set up in a way that the smaller house can't be moved behind the big one? That the land it can't be
It's
built
not,
on?
and
or-
that's the problem. So we would prefer to have that. It really needs to be up front on that fence line, the smaller house, and then the main house in the rear.
There's as he explained, like right where those trees are, you start to see them, and probably part of the reason it's the conservation zone is it drops off. So we actually named the farm Hidden Ledge Farms because there's a ledge of rocks and it just kind of drops off after that. So there's not really a good building site for that.
In the front area where all those, I'm looking at this other thing, all the green circles are, which I guess is up by the road, are you going to put trees there? Is that what those things are? Go ahead.
The green, on this. Okay, sorry.
On
Yeah,
this-
I was.
on this drawing here.
Yeah, that's a general plan of where the trees go. So they're, it's not like a winery orchard like that, but they have order to them and they're hazelnut trees. And then you grow truffles underneath them.
So it sounds like ultimately you won't be able to see any of this from the road once the trees grow.
Probably not.
Okay. All right.
My question is, you were talking about turning around in places where you were going to put this building in. Have you already started to plant anything on the property, or are you already using the pasture area?
No.
We were waiting on approval on all of this before we started anything.
So similar to Bill's questioning, the entire property is 30 acres. And is it fair to say that the accessory dwelling unit is roughly in the middle from the road? So we're
Yeah, and-
approximately somewhere between 12, 15, 16, 17 acres off the road is,
That's correct. I would also say, yeah, it's a few hundred feet off the road and down a little bit. I don't think that the actual accessory dwelling unit will be visible from the road, even if we didn't plant the trees at this point. Even if it was, it would look like the main house. If the intention of the accessory dwelling unit not being whatever the intention of that was in the planning, it would not be visible, period.
It's just hard to tell, but right where that fence line is, it's not another ridge, but it kind of goes up and then a little bit down, right where that fence line is, it starts to go down, which is about where the ADU, I hope I got that right, is supposed to be. So, and then the road would come through and over to the main house, which is much larger. And so putting the main house right there, it kind of cuts into all the prime place to put the hazelnut trees.
Further questions? Again, I'm going to go through the order of this. Let's start with the ADU. And yeah, accessory dwelling unit ADU. Do we have any questions regarding the ADU itself? I guess just one quick question. You had said generational living, so there's not going to be any business or anything run out of the?
Correct.
Out of,
Right. It's my mother-in-law.
okay. All right.
I kind of like it being out there.
As opposed to right there.
Yeah, no, yeah.
You're on record.
I know, no, I know. I love her.
That's exactly
I do.
right.
But she lives close by, so she's in her 70s and eventually want to have her a little closer.
Okay. All right, any other questions regarding the ADU? Okay, what about location? Do we have questions regarding location? Okay, what about the size requirement? If you could justify the size requirement. Allowed is 1403, you're requesting 1442, 39-foot variance. Can you justify the size requirement?
Initially, we thought there would be a bigger disparity because we didn't want to be 45 or almost 5,000 square foot on the house. We were trying to make it a little bit smaller. But once we put all the things in, it's kind of come up to be almost meet the requirement. The ADUs as small as we can get it to put all the things that your mother-in-law wanted. So that's about as compact as we can get that. It's really an issue with the main house. We don't want to make it bigger just for sake of a county reg. I mean, we can if we have to, but we're 39 square feet off. So that's kind of where we stand there.
Well, you're right. You can accommodate the regulation either by making the main house larger or the ADU smaller.
Right.
And the ADU is about as compact as we want to make it, but we can get rid of the loft and be there any second, but then it messes up the kids'
Yeah,
situation.
we're hoping
To send the
every once in a
grands
while
over.
They'll stay with their grandmother overnight. So it would be nice to have the loft situation.
If you look at total footprint, it's a bigger disparity than what I think probably what those numbers show.
All right, questions regarding the size of the ADU? Okay. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Let me take a seat. Staff, I do have a question regarding the size. I thought in our regulation, we had, depending on the number of acreage, there was the size requirements for ADUs. And
That's for accessory structures.
Accessory
So
structures, but
stuff
not
without
ADUs.
living space. Yeah, the ADU, with it being detached, is 25%.
Okay, all right. very
And then
good.
an attached ADU would be 30%. But there's a few things I remember off the top of my head, and those are two of them.
Exactly. Okay. All right, thanks, Ryan.
Thanks. And I received nothing on this case, just because I know you're going to ask me in a
I am
second, so
gonna
I'll
ask.
save a trip.
Very good, thank you. All right, is there anybody here wishing to speak in favor of the application? Is there anybody here wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Board members, questions for anybody in the audience or staff? Okay, I'm going to close the floor, open it up for discussion. Just remember, this is going to require 3 different motions.
Well, piece by piece, I think the application for the accessory dwelling is fine. I think that the applicants have presented enough about the intent of the property to justify a hardship for location as far as having the primary structure in the rear of the ADU. The only thing I have a little bit of an issue with is 39 square feet. I think maybe that could be tweaked. That's sort of and on one hand, it's not a lot of square footage, and on another hand, it's not a lot of square footage. So either way, it's, it might be able to be tweaked.
First of all, I agree. It's not a lot of square footage, and it's not going to be noticeable, especially from the road. The overall project looks like a really nice project. Our horse farm is very close to to this property. I know the area very well.
Careful with
Yeah.
personal.
And so I kind of have a feel for the project and the area, and it looks like it will be a nice addition to the neighborhood, is basically what it comes down to, I think. So that's all I can say.
I guess my only opposition is where it's at. I mean, you've got regulations, the building is not to be in front of the main structure, and I can see where land can be conformed to what you want done. If you want to put the house behind the other one, it is possible to be done. That's my only consideration, is that you have regulations that, you know, the small house is to be behind the other one, the main.
Yeah, Mark, I agree with you. The testimony was, and we can open the floor and bring it back up and talk about it, but the testimony was, you know, the turnaround and the space to put the ADU, you know, behind the primary structure. Honestly, I don't see that hardship on the, you know, on the topography map that we have here. I see the turnaround and what he's talking about, and we can put it on the screen and again, talk about it. However, you know, so I agree with you. But you know, this is several hundred feet off the road. It's not going to be seen. Gretchen, I also agree with the size, you know, 39 square feet variance. It's not, you know, they should be able to accommodate and absorb that somewhere, and whether increase the size of the main house or decrease the size of the, you know, the ADU. Then again, it's not, you know, the ADU they're requesting 1442 is, you know, is the space they're requesting for the accessory dwelling unit. So you're right, you know, it's not a lot of space. But in saying both of those, I agree. But in saying both those, I'm in agreement with this proposal.
Yeah, I can see, I'm just looking at this topography map here. The turnaround they have there is at where those lines are as close together as possible in that whole area. I can see why they put that you know, they're as far apart, because that means it's as flat as possible.
Yeah.
Why they put that turnaround in that
right.
area. And if they didn't put it there, they'd have to put it up front where the trees are. And, I mean, I think the trees are probably a welcome to the area, so.
Well, that's right. They're wanting to, you know, plant, I think, hickory or
Yeah. Hazelnut, yeah.
hazelnut.
So I can understand why they did what they did in terms of the topography and the turnaround and all of that.
All right. Anything else? If not, I'm ready for a motion. Let's start with the ADU first. That's a conditional use permit.
Yeah. All right. All right. Motion to approve OC 24-028 for a proposed attached accessory dwelling at 6460 Old Zering Road. The character and objective of the proposed use and the potential impact on the community and the surroundings are appropriate. Conditions of approval are: the conditional use permit shall only apply to the plan considered at the June 20th, 24 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing.
Okay, thank you, Gretchen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Bill. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That one's approved. Okay, next one.
OC 24-028. Motion to approve a maximum square footage variance on the property located at 6460 Old Zering Road in Crestwood. This will not adversely affect the public health, safety, and welfare, and will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, and will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public. It will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulation, because there is enough property between the ADU and the road so as to not negatively affect the surrounding area. Conditions of approval. The conditional use permit shall only apply to the plan considered at the June 20th, 24 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing.
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, thank you. And the last one, please.
I'm a little stuck on this one, to be honest with you. Actually, I would move to deny OC 24028 for the maximum square footage variance on the property located at 6460 Old Zaring Road in Crestwood.
Okay,
Let's see. So it would allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulation because I feel this is avoidable. I think with some small alterations, this could be, they could definitely be within the restrictions.
okay. All right, very good.
That's
Do
my
we-
motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Any discussion?
I don't know. I guess they can make the main house larger or the second house smaller.
One of the two.
The main house would have to be 39 feet divided by 0.75, I guess, larger, or make the other one smaller. I don't know if this necessarily sets precedent or if it's just, it does not set precedent if we approve it.
Each case stands on its own.
Right. I don't know. I just don't think it's that big a deal. So, but that's my thoughts.
Let's discuss, we're at discussion point. Any
Right.
further discussion on the motion? We have a motion to deny and a second. Any further discussion?
I think that with response to your response, I think we're simply following the rules.
Okay. All right, all in favor of the motion signify, let's do roll call, I guess. If you could do a roll call motion for us, please.
Mr. Turner,
I agree.
Ms. Chitwood,
Aye.
She made the motion.
was that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Furco,
I do not agree with the motion to deny.
Mr. Allen,
I do agree.
Mr. Otterbeck.
Oppose the motion. Okay, the motion has been passed. That has been denied, and the other two have been approved. So, so I guess what that means, just to help the applicants, if you, do you understand? Adjust one of the plans. Yeah, okay, very good, yeah. Adjust, work with staff. Very good, thank you. All right. Thank you, guys, and Gretchen, if you could go on and read the next one, please.
OC 24-029, an application has been filed requesting a conditional use permit for an event venue located at 1772 and 1774 Fendley Mill Road, LaGrange.
Okay,
All right. Good morning, Brian Fogel, Assistant Director, Oldham County Planning Development Services. This is one conditional use request, and as we get into it, the reason we have two addresses listed, that it's on two properties under common ownership for basically one event venue, but it is two different properties at 1772 and 1774 Findlay Mill Road. Notification for this morning's public hearing was provided on our website on the 29th of May. Adjoining property owner notices were mailed on the 31st of May, and a legal advertisement appeared in the Oldham Mirror newspaper on June 13th. To orient the board of where it's located, this push pin here is where it's at, but our starting point This is the building that we're in right here. So if you go on West Jefferson, take 3rd Avenue out, 3rd Avenue turns into Finley Mill Road, and the location of the property is right here. And zooming in a little bit, the property is basically outlined where everything is cleared. Adjacent to this is a grandfathered junkyard. I think it used to be called Moon or Mooney's Junkyard, but now it's K&S Automotive Radiators Junkyard. But it is a grandfathered junkyard next to it, but has no impact on this particular application other than the fact it's next door. On these slides here, you'll see where highlighted in red where we have 2 different parcels. One is 1772, the other one is 1774. The aerial photography on our GIS is dated and does not reflect the fact that there are a house here, a barn here, and a barn here, and that'll show up in a photo here shortly. The zoning in the area is primarily residential with a grandfathered junkyard right here. The history that's on this site in terms of any type of review by our office is basically related to either the division of that property into 2 separate 10.44 acre parcels, and then the building permits that were issued for the construction of a house and a barn on 1772, and then a house and a barn at 1774. And this is a picture of the 2 houses and the barn. So one of the houses is located here with the barn located right here. The other house is right here with the barn located right here. And each of those are on their own legal parcel, but it's one request for one conditional use on both properties. In terms of why they're having to ask for a conditional use, the county updated the zoning ordinance last year for event venues, and we didn't change where they're allowed, where they're not allowed, or the process you have to go through, or what their standards are for operation. Basically, what we did is that we didn't have a definition for an event venue. So in amending the ordinance, we provided a definition. So up here, it's listed that a event venue is a conditional use, which is why it's before you all in an R2 zoning district, which is the zoning on the property. The definition that we created with the updates to the zoning ordinance for an event venue is that it's a building and/or property that is rented or hired for short-term public or private events of an assembly nature, such as wedding receptions, conferences, business meetings, reunions, and banquets. Over here, and we did not change this from the original ordinance, highlighted in yellow are the standards for event venues. Number 3 is not highlighted because a swimming pool is not part of this particular application. So the standards are any buildings, structures, or facilities will be at least 30 feet from any property line. Roads and parking shall be of a non-dusting, all-weather type. And then number 4 specifically refers to a table in the landscaping portion of our zoning ordinance. That's very specific, but the intent with that is that for any parking that might be on the property, that the perimeter of any parking areas are screened. I would surmise primarily so if you have an event in the evening, you don't have headlights that may shoot out across the property onto adjoining properties. The applicant has provided this as their proposal. Finley Mill Road is located right here. The existing driveway goes here, comes in between the 2 existing houses, comes back here. One barn is located right here. The second barn is located right here. With their application, they've indicated that it would the 2 barns would be used for event venues, which is why they're before you. That the access to the barns would be on an existing single-lane gravel drive, and that parking for visitors who are attending the event venue would be provided on grass yard that's close by to the barns. In their justification statement, they're saying that the repurposing of the agricultural barns for an event venue would benefit the community and the county's economic vitality and growth. And the summary is basically, it's an event venue request in 2 existing barns on 2 different properties, but both properties are owned by the same individual. That the access to it would be on the gravel drive, and that the parking would be in the grass areas nearby to the barn. That concludes the staff report. In terms of any feedback from the public after we mailed notices, we've not received any emails or telephone calls regarding this application.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Brian?
So I just, how are they being used right now again? Is it actually being used as an event space right now?
I don't believe so, but I think that's a question that's probably better put to the applicant. Yeah, the permits that were issued were basically for an agricultural barn, not for an assembly use. So in your all staff report are suggested motions, and if you would choose to approve that, one of the suggested conditions would be that steps need to be taken to convert that from an agricultural use to an assembly use in terms of public safety and building code requirements.
And that is permitted in what is this, R2?
That is correct, with a conditional use, that anything that's in an R2 zoning district that would be proposed as an event venue has to come before the Board of Adjustments and get a conditional use.
And is the salvage yard next door, is that R2 as well?
It is R2. Mr. Furco, it's been there a really long time. That's why in my brain as a kid, I'm thinking, it was Moon or Mooney's Junkyard. And now it's K&S Auto Radiators Junkyard.
Did I just hear that you said one of the suggested motions is to redo the zoning?
No. One of the suggested conditions of approval, if you all approve it, would be that the redo would be converting it from an agricultural use with the barn to an assembly use, because now you have the public coming there to assemble.
Now, what does that involve? Does that for us to approve or for a separate license?
The building inspector would have to approve that.
I see. Okay.
Question, Tate, for you. This is 2 individual properties, and they're asking for a single CUP for 2 separate properties. So I think I have a hardship with that, but I want to get your input on that. And in saying that, one of the motions that I don't, or one of the conditions of approval, of the approval that I don't see is that if the property is sold or transferred to somebody else, that this CUP goes away. So I don't see that, but I would suggest that as being one of them. And including that as one of the motions of approval or conditions of approval, do I have a hardship, or do you have a hardship with a single CUP on 2 different properties?
I'm not really sure how's that functioning? I mean, you're gonna have 2 separate properties that each have a CUP on?
Yeah, the properties each have a barn on them, and they're proposing to operate that as one event venue, that someone, and I would let the applicant answer that someone may choose to use both barns, or there could potentially be 2 different events on there, but the properties are in common ownership right now. And it is in there as a suggested condition. Yes, but if it wasn't, any of the motions or conditions of approval are just suggestions.
Yeah.
It's your all's decision on that.
So I have another question. If we approve this, so there's essentially 4 structures there. There's the 2 barns and the 2 houses. And if it's being used for events, would they also then be able to use the houses for events, or just the barns?
That would be a question that you guys could put to the applicant, and then depending on your comfort level, you could make a decision regarding that.
So if it's for the houses, would that not require short-term rental procedures, or I'm not sure. Or if we approve this, would no one ever have to live there, and all 4 structures could be used for events?
Their proposal is to have the 2 barns used as an event, but that's a legitimate question to put to the applicant. Is someone still going to live there, and is the intent to have either of the 2 houses used to support the event venue. In the, I don't want to use the word event, in the likelihood that they would decide that they want to offer parts of the house as a short-term rental, they would have to come back to the board and demonstrate to you all that it's owner-occupied, that someone's living there, and they would need to get a separate approval for a short-term rental.
So we could restrict this to just the barns?
That's correct.
The approval here? Okay. All right, thank you.
I don't understand why you have, the one CUP could serve 2 events going at the same time? Each barn being separate, or what? Are you just trying to save money on, why don't you just have 2 applications for the same 2 events? I'm confused as to what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I think their intent is to operate it as one operation. And we probably have examples in the county of other event venues that have multiple buildings, but maybe they were all on one property, where they may have more than one event. The peculiarity with this particular request is that they have divided the property into 2 identical 10.44 acre parcels, and they're making a request to you all to have an event venue where it would be both barns.
Could we,
I haven't researched it, but I just, there's nothing in the statute to prevent them from having one CUP on 2 separate properties. What if the properties were separated by another track? That's why I'm.
Right, but they're not separated by another track. They're,
Is that why it's being approved that way then?
well, that's why I guess as staff, we've allowed them to file 1 application versus 2 applications.
That's what I can't figure out. Why there's not 2 applications?
Didn't know you were behind.
It's okay.
not
What I'd
saying it's wrong.
suggest
I'm
is
not
hear the
saying it's
rest of
wrong,
the,
Brian,
hear the
but-
rest of the evidence, and then decide whether or not this is an appropriate place for an event venue, and then you might consider actually making separate motions for each tract, and then that would probably relieve this question of whether or not you can have 1 application for 2 separate tracts. Even though we've only asked for 1 application, you can make a decision that you apply it to each one if you think they are appropriate.
if a question, the land's owned by the same people, right? Both.
It is
Same
correct.
people on the land. We just talking about 2 barns in 2 different areas.
Correct.
Okay, basically. So when we focus on that, then we focus only, number 1, on the barns and whatever have to be done with the barns. We can state not to include the houses. This is not a part of the houses. No, that's another something. That's something totally different. But okay, but that's in our motion. Okay.
All right. Any other questions for Brian?
Not a question, but as far as what Jim said, I think that it would be wise to consider it the 2 parcels.
I agree.
Yeah.
We'll get to that,
Okay.
but I think I'm in total agreement with that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian. All right, if we can have the applicant come forward, please. And I need you to raise your right hand, be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address, please.
Karen Fowler, 4,000 Carriage Hill Drive, Crestwood, Kentucky.
Okay, Karen. And you are the applicant. If you could justify the project, please.
We purchased the property, I think it was 4 years ago, and there was 2 parcels next to each other. We purchased them together. Went ahead and registered as 1 farm. It's it's Dreammakers Farm, and we've just been getting. Right now, it's just hay is what we're getting off of it. We went ahead and did the two houses and the 2 barns. Unfortunately, when I was doing this, I had a contractor that spoke better than. Anyway, I went down a rabbit hole, and this whole thing has just been overwhelming, and I have been backpedaling ever since. I mean, I don't even know. Ask questions and I'll try to answer. How's that?
Well, let me first by asking, and Tate, this is going to be another question maybe for you. On the application, am I to understand that this property is under a trust? And then are you able to speak for the trust?
Yes, we're owner of the trust. I am. My husband and I are the executors of the trust. So.
Okay, all right, very good, thank you. So you're ready for questions? Is that-
Yes.
All right,
I don't even
questions
know
for
what to
Mrs.
answer.
Questions for Ms. Fowler?
Is there any, some discussion has been about the use of only the barns and not of the houses. I understand that. But surrounding the barns, are you planning on having any exterior venue outside of the barns themselves?
Originally, I had, like I said, I was taken down the wrong path by the, they are already, the barns have never been used for agricultural. I was taken down the wrong path from the whole beginning of this. I didn't realize how wrong until in December, we were going to do a soft opening for this to be used as a venue. And then I was called into the county and said, that's not what you're supposed to be doing with this. And unfortunately, just a lot was going on in the last few years with a lot of sickness and stuff. And that has nothing to do with this. I'm just telling you, giving you an explanation. My husband was in the hospital 5 different times with major stuff. My son had a COVID stroke. There was just tons of stuff going on. So I put too much trust into a contractor that I shouldn't have. So now I am here and I'm trying to redo what I did. It never was, like I said, there was never any animals in there. There was nothing. These were constructed by the Amish and they're beautiful barns. So the houses, originally I was just going to have, like if we had something, they could use the houses. If there was a wedding, the brides can use the houses, or the groomsmen can use one house. So that's kind of where it was. Then after December, I decided, well, maybe we won't do any of this and just go in a different direction. And then a different builder came in and said, no, they're beautiful barns. Go ahead. It's needed in the area, and it's something that they can use. And that's where I am now. So I don't even know which direction to go in. Like I said, I never intended to. I took 2 parcels and put it back into a farm. It was already bought that way. I didn't split the 2 parcels.
Okay.
And then, as you can see, the houses are really close together. I never expected to split it again. So
So is there anybody living in the houses?
no, not in fact, in December when I did the soft open kind of thing, and we were going to do it, I was told that it was red carded because they hadn't got the final. So we didn't even get the final until December. And then the last 6 months, I've just trying to figure out what we were going to do. Were we going to keep going this way, or should we, split it off and start selling it? Should we go back to agricultural? So
Your contemplation is to use all 4 buildings,
that's what
all 4 buildings for event spaces, or the houses
but for one event, not to. I don't want to have 4 events going on at once.
Right, but I mean,
yes.
So you'd use the houses for the events as well as the barns.
They could use the houses to complement
So essentially a short-term rental for the houses at the time of the event. So they'd rent the house and the barn simultaneously.
Unless there's a big problem with that, then I'll just go ahead and rent out
I think short-term rental would mean they were staying the night in some. I don't think. I'm
not sure. I'm not sure what is going to be asked of me. I can rent them out as just rentals. I can just do monthly rentals on them and then just have events in the back, and the renters will know that we're going to have events every once in a while. So that's okay too. I could do it that way. So I'm not sure which way.
So what is it that you're wanting to do with the property?
I would like to have events, and I would like to be able to use the barns as event. That's what I
You want to use the barns as events?
And then
And the houses.
the houses would be able to be available for those that are.
They want
are
to
using
stay for short term.
I guess.
Okay. So the houses, you're not suggesting to use the houses as an event. You want to use the houses as a short-term rental.
Well,
And then the barns as events.
what
That's
I'm
you're
hearing
asking.
is if there's like a wedding, there'd be like the bridal party would be changing or whatever in the house, and then they'd have the party in the barn type thing.
I understand that.
But, yeah, I guess short-term rental would be.
Well, hang
I'm
on.
not sure, I'm not sure what to even ask. I guess I'm in a position where I wasn't even sure. In this thing, I didn't even realize we can have people coming in because the app, on this paper, it just said opposing. It didn't say anything about having people to come to say they would like it here. So I don't even have people here it doesn't say, I was so literal on this paper. I didn't know what I'm doing. As you can tell, I'm just kind of winging this.
Yeah.
So, yes, I would like those for event barns. If I could have those event barns where I can have people there, I mean, to stay in the houses overnight, for the bride to stay overnight, that'd be great. If I can't, and that's not an option, then I can rent those out. I just don't know what my options are, I guess. That's my problem. I don't even know what my options are.
So I think, let me ask staff. Thank you, Mrs. Fowler. Just let me departure from you just for a second. Would it be appropriate, Brian, for us to possibly table this and have Mrs. Fowler work with you guys? I'm not even sure that would be appropriate because she's actually kind of struggling with the business plan prior to coming to you guys. But I think it probably makes more sense to table this until we get a little more definition around what she's trying to do.
Yes, I think that's a request that you all can make of her, of any applicant. You know, would you consider tabling this until next month to give her the time to come forward with a more defined business plan that she has at present?
And work with you guys on what her options are, what a short-term rental property is, what event, because it sounds like maybe you don't know the what an STR, a short-term rental.
What I was told was a short-term property is if you lived in it and that we don't plan to live in it. So that erased that when I was talking, I'm sorry. I guess I did talk to
Right.
them. But
So
when
that-
they defined it, they've been very helpful, by the way.
Yeah.
But it still didn't help me.
So
because
I-
when they defined it as a short-term rental, it didn't fit in there.
I have a question. So obviously, if nobody's going to live there, it can't be under our definition of approved STRs, it cannot apply. But if it was approved as a event space, then it's not a I guess, maybe it's not a short-term rental. I'm not sure if it is or isn't. But then would the houses be able to be used for events along with the barns if it's approved as a event space rather than a short-term rental?
That is correct, but they would not have the option of only offering the house as a short-term rental without also using the barn in conjunction with that.
I see.
Well, I don't know about, if this is approved as an event space versus an STRP, short-term rental property, so STRP is short-term rental, under 30 days. I'm gonna rent this thing for 28 days. I'm gonna, an Airbnb, that's not what she's asking here. So an event space is you can use it for the, brides to change clothes or whatever as part of the event, as part of the barns. And if the house is part of an event space, yeah, the house can be rented as an event, independent of the barn. Yeah, I want just the house as an event. I don't, maybe a tea party. I don't know. But it's not an STRP. That's something different.
Yes. and that's what I'm saying, but not quite the same way that you have said it. And I think your idea of asking the applicant to consider tabling this and have a defined business plan and defined intentions would probably help with the decision-making process.
So I have a question, in terms, not of this, but just generally for STRs, okay? What is there to prevent future applicants for STRs that otherwise would not be approved, where they don't live there, to say, okay, I'm not coming for an STR, I'm coming for an event space at my house, and we're not going to call it an STR, we're going to call it an event space, and we're not going to live there. We're just going to use this house always for events, and on weekends for bachelor parties or whatever.
Why don't you finish with the applicant and we can talk about that?
Okay, I'm just trying to understand the differentiation of
I
it.
don't see how
Yeah.
I can, this is everything. I don't have a better business plan than this. This is what I want. I wanted the barns to be able to be used this, with the houses as an event all at once. I mean, I'm doing the whole property at once. I'm not doing 4 different events. I just wanted an event to be able to be taken at the property. And I'm okay to be restricted to that. There's, you know.
So you would prefer to move forward with this rather than tabling it?
I would prefer to, because there's no other, I don't know what else we can,
Okay.
you know what I mean? I can present to you.
Okay.
You can say that I can't do I can only do the barns, and that would be okay too. Like I said, I'll just rent out the houses as a monthly rental and do that. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure
All right,
what to
Jim?
say.
Well, I'm going to suggest that you consider tabling it only because usually we have conditions of approval and like when is there allowed to be music, amplified music? We don't know any of that information. What are the hours of operation? How many people? A site plan with parking. So I'm going to suggest that you table it and work through those, and then you have a much more cohesive application to send to them, and then they can make a decision as opposed to trying to understand what you're going to use for the house.
I have no problem with tabling it, but I did say that I would comply with all regulations. I don't want loud noise after whatever.
Well, but we always, in conditional uses, we always say that the music has to end at a certain time and the participants have to leave at a certain time. We don't have any of that information as opposed to, you haven't even stated who's going to operate this event venue. How many times a year are you going to have events there?
Signage?
I mean, you don't really have a business plan. It's really highly recommended.
Okay,
Yeah,
I have no problem
Yeah.
being more specific on what I plan to do.
All right. Board, before we come up with that motion, anything else?
No, I definitely think that's a good idea.
Yes.
Me too. Okay, can I have a motion, please? Are you okay, Ms. Feller?
Yes,
Anything
I-
else before we continue?
No, I'm good now.
All right, let's, I'm ready for a motion.
All right, motion to table OC 24-029 pending further information.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? It's been tabled.
Thank you.
Okay, Gretchen, if you'd like to read the next one, please.
OC 24-030, an application has been filed requesting a road frontage variance for a property located at 1900 East Mount Zion Road in Crestwood.
All right.
All right, yes.
Brian Fogel, Oldham County Planning Development Services. Notification for today's public hearing was provided on our website on the 29th of May. Adjoining property owner notices were mailed on the 3rd of June, and a legal advertisement appeared in the Oldham Mirror newspaper on June 13th. To orient the board where this is located at, it's right on the Oldham and Shelby County line off Mount Zion Road. Centerfield community is right here. Ballardsville community, south of LaGrange, is here. And if you come out 53 and Mount Zion Road and Old Hannah Road, the location of the property is right here where the push pin is at. The property roughly lies like this. The county line is basically Floyd's Fork up to a point, and then it just is a straight line that goes across country. Off of our GIS, the properties that are subject to this are highlighted in red. The zoning in the area is agricultural residential and conservation residential. The site history with this is that in February of 1990, we approved a minor plat that created a 60-acre parcel that's the majority of this property. In April of 92, we approved a minor plat that consolidated an adjacent 4.18 acres into that property. In September 2005, the house that fronts up on East Mount Zion Road was split off into a 5-acre parcel from the parent tract. And then in May of 2018, we approved a minor subdivision plat that consolidated all the different properties into a single 73-acre parent parcel that is the subject of the variance that's before you guys this morning. So the zoning ordinance states that in agricultural, residential, and conservation residential zoning districts, that whenever you create a lot that's larger than 2.5 acres, it's required to have 300 feet of road frontage along a public roadway. And what they're proposing to do is to create a 7-acre parcel that's at the rear of the parent tract that has 0 feet of road frontage, therefore requiring a variance from you all for 300 feet. Of note, the proposed residual tract that'll be left over will maintain its compliance with the zoning ordinance because it has 305 feet of road frontage along East Mountain Zion Road. So I got 2 plats here, and I'm going to, when we hand it off to the applicant, I'm going to pass you out a copy of this, which they just received from their surveyor this past Tuesday afternoon. This is what was submitted with the application showing the parcel that would be created right here. And you can see on the aerial, they've got horticultural and agricultural activities located there. And they have listed potential future farm road right here, which is what is reflected in the survey that they got from their surveyor and have turned in as part of the application. So the proposed 7-acre tract would be located to the rear of the property and be accessed by a 60-foot wide access easement that goes up to East Mountain Zion Road. In the justification statement, the applicant stating that they're requesting the variance to create a building site for a child and that they want to locate it in the back of the property to not negatively impact the horticulture and agricultural uses they have on there. So the summary of the variance is basically they want to create a 7-acre tract with 0 feet of road frontage, requiring a variance from the board to approve that. We have not received any emails or telephone calls regarding this application, either in opposition or in favor, or just even asking questions.
Brian, I have a question. What's the downside for approving this? I mean, why would we, what could happen if, what are the, I mean, for a property like this, why does it need the road? What's the reason for the road frontage requirement?
The zoning ordinance has the requirements for minimum road frontage, that the idea being everyone has public access of a certain width along a public street. And if they don't have that, they have the option of coming to you all and asking for a variance in that.
So, Brian, how many residences are currently on that common drive?
I believe this will be the second, but I would prefer that you have the applicant answer that.
Okay.
So there's not a driveway there right now?
That is correct.
So they're going to put a driveway in?
I would have the applicant answer that, but I believe
Okay.
that to be correct.
And would the easement for the driveway be filed with the application then? Does that go with it?
Yes, you know, that's,
Part of the
yes.
conditions of approval.
Okay.
Oh, I can't remember that. Go back to where go back right there. Oh, yeah, right there. The future extension. I'll ask applicant. I guess if you want to leave that screenshot up when we call the applicant
Okay.
up. Any other questions for Brian?
No.
All right, thanks.
And I'm going to pass you out hard copies of this survey that they just received from their surveyor, which accurately shows what they're requesting of you all.
Okay, thank you. And if we can have the applicant come forward, please. Good morning. Thanks, Brian. And I need to get you sworn in. If you want to raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Name and address, please.
My name is Jody Curry. I am the applicant, along, obviously, my husband and I own this property. We own the property at 1900 East Mount Zion, and we own the property that we talked about a few months ago at 1910 East Mount Zion.
Are you also Glenna?
I am,
Okay, all right, very good.
yes.
All right. Okay, go ahead, Jonah. Thank you.
So I think it's obvious what we're doing is trying to create a lot that our one of our children can build on, and that is we're wanting to create a parcel that one of our children can build on. It's their desire to come back to what we affectionately call the family compound, and so that is the that is the purpose of the request. And obviously, it is their desire to build on the back of our farm. That particular field is just very conducive to plotting out as a separate parcel, and it's going to suit their purposes. They'll also do some. They'll also be growing some nursery stock on that property, as well as it's most likely where we're going to put our horses. So we don't have a horse. We don't have room for our current barns would not accommodate our horses, and so that's it in a nutshell.
Okay. Thank you. Questions?
So on this driveway that you will be using, that is your driveway?
No, that is not our driveway.
It's not your driveway.
We have another entrance that's, let's see, if you look at you're not seeing the top of the property on the left-hand side, but we have an existing driveway that goes, let me back up a step. One of the subdivisions that Brian mentioned was the creation of a 5-acre parcel in 2005. That was for mortgage purposes to break the house and 5 acres out from the remainder of the farm. So if you look on my left, there is the 5-acre parcel. I'm trying to find the house here. So our house sits about right here, and there's a driveway that comes off of Mount Zion Road right into our garage. This drive would be a newly created drive, and it will run along the property line. It will be an easement that will be platted, and will run all the way back to the parcel that's being proposed which is right here.
And there are no other residences that will be along that driveway?
No. Now, because I think my understanding is because we own that we'll be granting the easement and we'll own the property, that there will probably be a maintenance agreement between ourselves and our daughter and son-in-law.
Okay.
On that property. And that was a decision made actually after I filed this application, and we had the surveyor come out and we looked at the lay of the land and just, the expense of what they're going to need to do. It made more sense to do the 60-foot easement along the property line back to the parcel where they will be building. So that other one on the existing farm road just wasn't, just didn't make good sense to extend the existing farm road. So nobody will be using this road.
I understand. Thank you.
They'll be the only house. And they'll be the only house on this property until I die. We won't subdivide this property anymore. We have no more children.
Okay.
Our son, for what it's worth, our son he bought part of my mom and dad's farm. So he's on that parcel.
The existing, so going along the same line, Gretchen, is I understand you said that this new tract, which is pretty far back on the property.
It is.
It looks like first of all, the driveway adjoins, it looks like 6 different parcels. And I just want you to, I guess, know that the regulation is, I think, that it can only service 3. It has no bearing as to how many parcels it adjoins, but it can only service 3. Am I correct by that? And does it cut through 6? Am I reading that or looking at that right?
We own all of this property.
Okay, all right.
We own all of this property, and we own that property at 1910.
Okay.
What happened is that when my mom and dad passed, we subdivided that farm so that my son could have the house and some acreage, and then we basically bought my sister out on the remaining acreage. So it's all one farm, and this is, yeah.
So what am I looking when you have future extension? What's that all about?
Ignore that, please.
Okay.
That we do have a farm road that goes all the way back to where where I wrote future extension.
Future extension of the farm road,
Yes.
not of the property. Yeah?
No.
Okay.
No, no, no.
All right.
No. I will, no.
Okay.
No, there will be no more subdivisions of this farm
Okay.
until my great-grandchildren, I guess, one day, or the highway department. We actually set, which, again, I hope I'm dancing with Jesus when this happens, if the new interstate could potentially cut through our farm.
All right.
which I
Any
hope
other
never
questions?
happens.
No, that satisfies my question.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody here wishing to speak in favor of the application? Is there anybody wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Board members, questions for anybody?
I have a question for staff. So this is pretty far from the road, and there's no other roads there. Are there any fire concerns in terms of if anything happened, fire department getting back to this? Or is that nothing we should worry about? I don't know.
Well, I mean, public safety is what you guys always take into consideration, but that may be so specific that I'm not sure that that's under your consideration for today.
Well, part of the minor plat process, if you choose to approve this, they have to submit a minor plat. We send that out to the agencies and utilities. They make comment, and it might have to be adjusted if there's a comment. But typically, on larger tracts of land like this, the fire department, especially Ballardsville, which is this Ballardsville Fire District, they're well equipped with equipment and personnel to be able to fight fires.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
And for what it's worth, we do, there's that small lake, but it's kind of hard to see on this plat, but we have an approximately 2 to 3 acre lake that you can kind of see part of.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. I'm closing the floor. Open it up for discussion.
Yeah, my only concern was that there would be more than one resident, because, again,
Yeah.
it's 3 on one common road, but this is a second residence on a common road, so that's not
Yep.
an issue.
Okay. Any other discussion?
My concern was just with the fire department being able to get around on there, but it seemed like we've covered that pretty well.
Yeah.
All righty. I'm ready for a motion.
Okay. Motion to approve OC 24-030 for a variance of minimum road frontage to allow the creation of approximately 6.47 acre parcel without any road frontage from the existing 73 acre parcel. The approval of the variance because it will not adversely affect the public health, safety, and welfare and will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity and will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public and will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulation. The conditions of approval are the variance shall only apply to the application considered at the June 20th, 2024 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing.
Next page.
Oh, there's more? Oh, there are. One moment. Okay, the minor subdivision plat application and survey shall be submitted to staff for administrative review and approval prior to the issuance of any building permits. A shared access driveway maintenance agreement shall be prepared and recorded with the minor subdivision plat. And the development of the property shall comply with all established federal, state, and local ordinances and requirements at the time of approval.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's been approved.
Thank you.
And Gretchen, next one, please.
OC 24-031, an application has been filed requesting a road frontage variance for the property located at 6001 Fieble Lane in Crestwood.
All right, Ryan Fisher, Senior Planner with Oldham County Planning. So this is for a road frontage variance for 6001 Fibel Lane. It is in an agriculturally zoned area. Land use is residential and sits on 5.86 acres of land. No site history. Agenda posted to our website on the 30th of May. We sent out our adjoining property owner notices on the 6th, and the public notice appeared in the Oldham Era on the 13th. So this is the property in question on Fibel Lane, 6001, and we'll go through this and show you exactly what they're doing. Here's the zoning showing it's in an AG1 zoning area. So the applicant, through the minor plat process, just like you kind of heard with the last case, is proposing to create a new 1.078 acre tract, which will be known as Tract 1A, on that existing 5.86 acre tract of land. In creating the new lot, the original Tract 1, okay, becomes a 4.910 acre tract now, and that will be known as revised Tract 1. So here is the minor plat that they have proposed. Tract 1A down here is that new just over 1 acre tract of land that they're proposing to going to be building a house on. The existing tract of land will now be revised to be a new 4.910 acre tract of land. So the required road frontage, which you all just heard in this last case. So 2.5 acres is always the threshold. So less than 2.5 acres requires 150 feet of road frontage. Anything 2.5 acres or more requires 300 feet of road frontage. So both of these parcels will fall into the two different pieces of that regulation. So this was included in your staff packet, just showing in our zoning regulations where the minimum road frontage requirements are for the 2.5 acres below and above. So the newly created 1.078 acre tract of land, which I've highlighted here in blue for you, has 212 feet of road frontage. Therefore, that meets the requirements of that section. So it's less than a 2.5 acre parcel of land. It has at least the 150 feet of road frontage that is required. So Tract 1A is compliant with the regulation. And you can see there with the purple line, that is the road frontage. All those measurements that show up on this scale up here come out to 212 feet. Now, the remaining parcel of land, which will, like I said, becomes now a 4.910 acre tract of land, that only has 180 feet of road frontage, which you'll see here with the blue line at the bottom of the screen. So that being over 2.5 acres requires 300 feet. So therefore, the applicant's requesting a variance today, a road frontage variance from you of 120 feet of land for that remaining parcel of land. And here's just a couple pictures of the property and a couple pictures looking south on Fibel Lane and north on Fibel Lane. So they're asking for a road frontage variance. 300 feet is required for that revised Tract 1. They've got road frontage on that current survey of 180 feet, so they're asking for a variance request of 120 feet from you all today. The potential conditions of approval for you all to note: the variance shall only apply to the plans considered here today at this June 20th, 2024 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. Minor plat application and survey must be submitted to staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of any building permits. With that being said, that concludes my presentation. I did include in the back of your staff packet the one notification that I did get from an adjoining property owner, so there is a letter in there. If you haven't already looked at it, that is the only thing I received on this case.
All right, if you can just give me a second, please.
All right.
Questions for Ryan?
I don't.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And if I could have the applicant come forward, please. Good morning. And I'll need to get you both sworn in. If I can get you, raise your right hand, state your name and address.
Elizabeth Kelly, 6001 Fievel Lane, Crestwood, Kentucky.
Okay? And if I can get you, are you going to be speaking?
I may be.
Okay? State your name and address, please.
4990 Bennett Lane, LaGrange, Kentucky.
Name?
Tom Stewart.
Tom? And let me get you both sworn in.
Raise your right hand also. Both of
Ma'am,
you, please.
yeah.
There you go. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
I do.
Okay.
That's-
All right, if you could justify the project, please.
Okay. Miss Kelly owns this property, and her son, Jerry Kelly, which came back to me. I built him a house 16 years ago in Persimmon Ridge, and he's wanting to live close to his mother there and build a retirement home, which the home, I don't know if they were included in the packet, but it's all brick, 2,500 square foot first floor with 2,000 finished in the walkout basement. So a total of approximately 4,500 square foot, all brick walkout ranch. And then,
Tom, if you don't mind, let me interrupt you just for a second. Let me understand your relationship with the application.
I'm a home builder.
Home builder, all right, thank you. All right, go ahead, proceed.
Okay. And then I have a drawing, I don't know if you can put it on this chart or not, of the location of the driveway and the house proposal.
And Jay, if I can get you to switch to the overhead. Thank you.
Okay. So that's our proposed location of the house and driveway. So there is an existing home on the right side of the property. And as you can tell, we're holding over 40 foot towards the other side of the property, 100 foot away from the adjoining neighbor, and the driveway coming up to a good sight distance location. So, of course, all permits would have to be pulled for sight distance in the septic system.
Okay. Anything else?
I just have a drawing of the house.
If you want to put that up? All the way around.
That's the proposed.
Okay,
Okay, all brick ranch.
all right. Board, questions for the applicant?
Yes, how many homes will be in this plot of land?
Pardon?
How many homes will be in this plot of land?
One.
And you said there was an existing home on the other side of this?
Yes. It has nothing to do with it. It's just adjoining neighbor, which we were, due to the way the land lays, it's more practical for us to be on the other side of the property anyways. But also for them to keep their privacy, because there's several nice trees on the property. So where we're locating the home, we shouldn't be bothering any of the nice trees.
Okay, further questions?
Nope.
So let me ask about the general character of the area. The total size of the lot is a little bit under 6 acres. And we're looking to section that off to just a little bit over an acre. Are there any other homes, general character of the area is where I'm getting at here? Are there any other homes that fall in this general character of less than, close to an acre and this close to the road?
Yes, will be in conjunction with the existing home on the right, will be approximately the same setback distance as they are.
Okay? Okay. All right, any other questions?
No.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, is there anybody here wishing to speak in favor of the application? Is there anybody here wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Ryan, let me call on you, please. I know that the different zoning classes have different road frontage, 300 feet for one and 150 feet for another. And same thing with size of land or size of the property. Why? And I think Bill, you asked this earlier. What's the purpose of the road frontage?
So it's my understanding, and I don't know, Jim may know this better than me. I think it's to maintain more of that rural character of, you're going to see the road frontage requirement in agricultural and conservationally zoned areas, which are typically out in the country where those are located at. So I think the purpose, and I don't know if you want to correct me or not, is to kind of maintain those rural aspects of large acre tracts of land. Is the reason behind it. So I know that was asked the last case, and that's my understanding of it anyways, because those are the only two zones that it's required in. Everything else has a minimum lot width, meaning you just have to have 150-foot lot width at the building limit line. So the only thing that requires the road frontage is agricultural and conservation, which you typically see in the rural parts of the county.
And this is all ag.
Yeah, this is all ag, and I think the question was asked of the character. I think originally these were all developed as 5-acre tracts of land. You can see, on your map, you can see to the north a little bit on Fibel 5631 is a little bit smaller of acre tract of land. But either way, when these get divided, they do have to, abide by the road frontage, and except in this case, asking for relief from that on the existing tract that's there.
Ryan, I have a question for 5631. Does it comply? Is it 150 or whatever because it's a smaller one?
Yeah, that I don't know. I would have to go look that up to find out if that came before for a road frontage or whatever. I don't know that.
So that's what I'm struggling with. Is this one very similar to the 5631? I guess if we had a bigger map, we might be able to tell, but yeah.
Which one are you asking about, Bill?
At the top of the 5631.
I got it.
It's
Okay.
a little one that's almost the same as this one.
Well, so does this body here, what's before us is a road frontage.
Right.
What is not before us is subdividing this out to, chunking it out to 1 acre out of the 5 acres. That is actually taken up when the minor plat is submitted, and that is one of your suggested conditions of approval.
Correct.
Is you have to submit that minor plat. That's where that is taken under consideration, not here.
Correct.
What's here is the road frontage.
Correct. And that's why, I didn't include in your staff packet any drawings of the home. Mr. Stewart did send those to me, but that's really not what you all are looking at today. You're asking for the road, they're asking for the road frontage of what is already the existing lot, and then they're creating it to be smaller now by creating the new lot. So I didn't include the pictures of the home. The driveway location would have to get a road encroachment permit. Right. All that stuff would be under the purview of staff and other agencies.
So if road frontage is what's before us here, and I asked the purpose of the road frontage, and you said it's to maintain the general character of either ag or conservation, so that's what the purpose is. And then we look at the general character of the area and see if there's other plots that have smaller road frontage. That's what we can take into consideration.
But
Jim?
Two lots.
Go ahead, Mark.
2 lots to the north is a smaller lot. 5631
Right.
Okay.
should be about the same size as the one they're asking for.
All right, Jim?
Going back to the question of the purpose of the road frontage, it is applicable to rural parcels like this, and things like curb cuts and driveways are important. And that's why it was, the original intent of the requirement for the road frontage is to make sure that on rural roads, especially where there might be curves or obstructions, that we don't create lots that may not be safe for exit and entry.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Showing the picture of what the house looks like helps you because it puts it into the context of character.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. I think I had already asked, but I'll do it again. I'm just not sure. Is there anybody here wishing to speak in favor of the application? Wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Board members, questions for anybody else? Okay, I'm closing the floor. Open it up for general discussion.
I don't know, I'm struggling with it, maintaining the character. Some of the objections brought up by this person who wrote in, the Andrew Guntrite family, and also cited there's other neighbors that are concerned. On the other hand,
That's hearsay.
yeah, it's hearsay, right. On the other hand, we have approved projects where there's zero road frontage, right? Where there's just a shared driveway and there's no road frontage at all. Just the last application we had that, where we had a shared driveway and no road frontage at all. So that's where I'm kind of struggling with this on what the right thing is to do.
Well, I think for me, it's exactly what Jim just pointed out, which is the sightlines and safety issues. And I think the person in opposition spoke to that a little bit, just saying that it's on a, I think he did. But I'm looking at what was called out earlier, the one up 5631. It's a lot, the road frontage is obviously smaller. So is this within character? Well, you've got that one to consider. I guess the only question in my mind is the safety issue.
And so
And there hasn't been any testimony one way or the other to that.
right, it's a safety issue. I mean, there is a sharp, I can see where there's a curve there. If they were to position it back on, as a question for staff, if the applicant was to position it back further in the property and have a shared road, would that make the safety issue go away, and would that be something that could be permitted?
So when the applicant goes to apply for the encroachment permit, whether that be with the county if it's a county road, or they would apply for it with KYTC if it was a state road, okay, they would dictate where that driveway location needs to be based on sight distance, safety, all those things. They could potentially say, we're not going to give you a driveway here because of that curve and it being too dangerous, and require them to use that other access for that. If that's the case, then they would get a shared maintenance and access agreement at the time of that plat. Our minor plat process, we send it out to all the various agencies. So we talked about the fire department with the last one. KYTC gets it, our county engineer gets it. They will come back with comments that say, the road encroachment permit at the time that it's applied for would be issued based on the safety.
So if they shared the existing driveway and just moved it back a bit so that the existing would still have its existing road frontage, that it would not, this road frontage issue would go away, but then there would be the shared access issue. Is that?
Well, I don't think the road frontage issue would go away, because in creating the 1 acre lot and trying to get the road frontage for that 1 acre lot that was needed, it makes the road frontage for the other lot smaller than what's
No,
required.
I'm saying if, say
So
they
the road
moved
frontage issue doesn't go away.
No, I'm saying if they moved the new house or the new property back to the back of the property, or back, whatever, 300 feet closer to the existing home, and they shared the existing driveway. So there's only the same driveway that's there right now, and the existing homeowner owns all of the frontage. It's just that there's a carve out of an acre in the middle of the property, would that make the road frontage issue go away?
Now, I'm not sure if I follow you, but no, because the newly created lot would still have a road frontage issue.
He's asking if we create a new lot that has a 0 road frontage,
Yes.
now all of a sudden, does any safety issue go away? It's got 0 road frontage.
Right. So,
And I think the answer is yes.
but you're still before you with the road frontage variance.
I disagree. The road frontage has nothing to do with safety. The access does. Your question is about requiring a shared driveway. Forget the road frontage. Your question is, will it be safer if you said share a driveway?
Yeah.
And that's the real question. You don't have to worry about where the house is. You don't have to worry about
Right.
frontage. Your question is really a good one.
Yeah.
Is it better to have, and Ryan already kind of answered that. It will go in front of, in this case, KYTC, because that's a state route, and they'll determine whether there's site distance on the proposed minor plat if you approve the road frontage variance. And if they say, no, you can't get it because of site distance, then the option is to go to a shared access agreement. But it's a good question, and it can be accomplished fairly easily. You don't have to move the house. Come in off the roadway and take a right on a gravel
Right.
driveway, and
Off the existing driveway.
Don't
and
worry
take-
about the road frontage it has.
That's what I thought they were doing in the first place.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do we even know the answer to, I can't remember, and maybe we can open the floor again and ask, do we know where they're planning on putting the access?
Yeah, that was in that one map.
Yeah, it was on that. He wants to come back
Saw
up.
that somewhere.
Hang on.
Yeah, we don't have.
Got it, I got it.
Where did we see that? I thought we did. Maybe not. I'm sorry. Oh, it was with the picture of the home. Yeah.
Yeah, but you got.
No, before you do, because I'll need to reopen the floor. Gang, do we want to open the floor? Are we okay? What Jim just told us is this will be addressed at the minor plat. You know, they will determine the sight lines and whether or not, you know, it's acceptable. So what's before us right now is just the road frontage. So I'm okay to proceed without opening the floor.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
But I agree. I think it's a great question. And anybody else? We good?
So again, to summarize, just rephrase what you just said. If there is a safety issue, the roads department or somebody will make sure that that safety issue
Transportation
is
cabinet.
concerned. The transportation department will make sure that's addressed. So then it's just a matter of aesthetics.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that's the real issue here.
All right, I'm ready for a motion. Bill, want to make a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the variance because it will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, and will not cause hazard or nuisance to the public, and will not allow unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations. And again, here we're referring to application docket OC 24-31 for a road variance frontage.
Conditions of approval.
Yeah, the road frontage variance shall only apply with the application considered at the June 20th, 2024 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. A minor plat application and survey must be submitted to staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of any building permits.
Thank you, Bill. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? It's been approved. Does anybody need a break or keep going? Anybody need a break?
Keep going. We only have two more after this.
Keep going. Gretchen, you want to read the next one?
OC 24-032, an application has been filed requesting a conditional use for a manufactured home on property located at 5608 West Highway 524, Westport. The property is zoned R2 Residential District.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Ryan Fisher, Senior Planner with Oldham County Planning. So this is for a conditional use permit for a manufactured home. We saw one of these a couple months ago. So this one's located at 5608 West Highway 524 on R2 residentially zoned property and sits on a 1.381 acre tract of land. Site history: on March 27th of this year, staff approved a minor plat 24-012 to create this 1.31 acre tract known as Tract 1. So this is the plat that was approved, this being the newly created tract that we'll be looking at today, and then the larger portion being the residual property of that farmland, and you'll see that here in a second on the aerial image. Case history, similar to all the other cases we posted on our website at the end of May. I sent out the adjoining property owner notices on the 7th of June, and the public notice appeared in the Oldham Era on the 13th. So here is the larger piece of property without the newly created tract shown in the front of what the parcel looked like prior to the creation of this slightly over 1 acre tract of land. And then the zoning for the property split between R2 and CO1, but we're going to be looking completely within this R2 zoning area closer towards the road. So the applicant's requesting a conditional use permit to allow a 3-bedroom, 2-bath manufactured home to be placed on the property. I have included plans with your staff packet. I'll show the floor plan here in a second, but you've also got elevation drawings showing what that manufactured home will look like. The property is located within that zoning district, R2 residential. And so here is the floor plan of the manufactured home, which was also included in your staff packet. Section 060-040 requires those manufactured homes to obtain a conditional use permit before the appropriate Board of Adjustment. So that's why they're here today. And Section 260-280 applies to all manufactured homes to be located outside of our Team Manufactured Home District zoning area. And those regulations are included in the rear of your staff packet as well, as far as the end of the staff report. This is showing where manufactured homes, single-family detached, have to come before you all for a conditional use, and then also the manufactured home guidelines, both of which included in your packet. So in summary, the applicant's requesting that conditional use permit for a manufactured home to be placed on that property at 5608 West Highway 524. The potential conditions of approval: the conditional use permit shall only apply to the applications considered at this June 20th, 2024 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. The applicant shall comply with all regulations concerning manufactured homes outlined in those zoning regulations 260-280. And the applicant shall obtain all necessary building permits and inspections from the appropriate agencies before occupying the manufactured home. And with that being said, that concludes staff's presentation. Now, I've received nothing on this case from anybody.
Okay. Questions for Ryan?
So there's nothing restricting the placement of a manufactured home on this property other than the requirement of a variance. There's no subdivision issues?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah, just a conditional use permit for the manufactured home within that zoning district. And then obviously they'll have to comply with, setbacks of that zoning area, which on the plat, it showed the building setback line. So it at least tends to be, placed back 35 feet off the road. I was going to take pictures for you, but there's really nothing that would give you any indication. It's pretty wooded along 524. And so I would have just shown you a picture of trees, really.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Ryan? Thank you. If I can have the applicant come forward, please. Morning. And let me get you sworn in and state your name and address.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth? Thank you.
And name and address?
Hope Pence, and this will be at the address of 5608 West Highway 524, Westport, Kentucky.
And you said Hope? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Hope, okay.
Give me and Andrea Pence is the applicant?
I'm the same person. Andrea is my first name. I go by my middle name.
All right, thank you.
Sorry.
All right, go ahead and justify the project.
So this is a family farm that I own with my boys, and we are pulling out the 1 acre. It is going to stay, the farm is going to still be adjoining, but this 1 acre allows me to build a house and live there on the farm. Sorry, I'm nervous. I'm like shaking.
Okay. Go ahead. Questions for Hope?
I don't have any questions, no.
Hope, what's the size of the farm?
It is 56 acres. It's 55 now that we have pulled the 1 acre out.
Okay, that's. The remaining 56 acres, you all own the 56 acres and you've just carved out the 1 acre and you
Correct.
plan on putting the manufactured home on the 1 acre?
Correct.
Okay.
And the reason for doing that is we didn't want to take a mortgage out for the entire farm. That was the
Okay.
only reason why
Okay.
carving the 1 acre out.
Gotcha, okay. And where on, if you can, go back a couple of slides to the picture, I guess. Let's get a picture up there. And if you can kind of give us a general, that's either one, general idea as to where this will be.
So let me look, because I believe I have a picture of that. It should be on one of these maps. I'm not sure.
Okay.
which.
Go ahead and just put that on the overhead. Do you know what access to? Okay.
So you can see the black would be, like, it would sit at the back part of the property back here.
Okay. That's where the 1 acre is.
Yes.
Okay. Road frontage?
That is the 1 acre. That's the 1 acre tract she's showing.
Gotcha, okay. That's not the 56 acre.
No, that's the 1 acre, sorry.
Okay. Okay. All right, other questions? Okay. That's it. You may take a seat. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Ryan, did we not get anything for email of opposer? Okay. Is there anybody here wishing to speak in favor of the application?
You just dropped your, yeah.
All right, is there anybody wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Board members, questions for anybody? Okay, I'll close the floor, open it up for discussion.
The fact that there's nothing restricting a manufactured home in that area other than needing a variance for that and it's on a larger piece of property. I don't think there's any reason for me to oppose this use, for use and enjoyment of the property that they already own. So I have no opposition.
I agree. I don't either. It would be helpful, though, in the package, if we could include some manufactured home companies probably have pictures of the homes that they make. So we have the blueprints or the drawings, but and it's a black and white drawing. But I mean, it'd be helpful to have like a picture from their marketing brochure or whatever of what.
Are you
the
asking
home
just
is
for
gonna-
like a general character?
Yeah, just general character. This one I'm okay with, but if it was a different application, I would want to see more detail.
I do have a few.
That's okay. I'm okay with this one. For future reference, it would be helpful to have like a color picture of kind of what it's going to look like.
All right, anything else? If not, I'm ready for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion
Okay.
that we accept the application for conditional use permit for a manufactured home on 5608 West Highway 524th in Westport. The Move to approve the conditional use because the proposed use is essential and desirable to the community and not in conflict with the elements, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan based on one or more of the following factors. Granting the conditional use permit will allow the proper integration into the community of the use specifically named in the zoning regulation. The character and objectives of the proposed use and potential impacts the community and its surroundings are appropriate. And the proposed will not impair the integrity and character of the zone if there are specific restrictions on location, size, extent, and character of the performance. Potential conditions of the conditional use permit shall apply only to the application considered at the June 20th, 2024 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. The applicant shall comply with all regulations concerning manufactured homes outlined in Oldham County zoning regulations, section 260-280. The appropriate shall obtain all necessary building permits and inspections from the appropriate agencies before occupying the manufactured home.
I'll second it.
Great, thanks, guys. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's been approved. And Gretchen, if you'd like to read the last one, please.
OC 24-033, an application has been filed requesting a conditional use for a manufactured home on property located at 1025 Fenley Road, LaGrange. The property is zoned R2 Residential District.
Okay.
All right. Brian Fisher, Senior Planner, Oldham County Planning. So this is also for another manufactured home, this one being on property located at 1025 Finley Road in LaGrange, right there at 393 and Finley Road. Sits on an R2 residentially zoned portion of property. Once again, just over an acre-sized parcel at 1.003 acres. Same thing, this one was a minor plat that was approved by staff on March 13th. 2023, staff approved the minor plat to create this 1.003 acre tract, which will be known as Tract 2. And this was recorded in Deed Book 1362, page 180. So here is the approved, newly created Tract 2, 393 being down here towards the bottom of your screen. Case history, just like all the other ones, we posted to our website at the end of May, sent out adjoining property owner notices, and advertised in the Oldham era. So here is, once again, the tract of land without the newly created tract shown on here. So this was the original parcel, 393 Finley Road being right here.
So again, Brian, that is roughly 2 acres then, that 1025?
So this original lot was, so the residual
3
portion
acres.
is 1.756 acres in the
Okay,
back.
so 3 acres,
So-
close to 3 acres.
So yeah, so this 1 acre tract is over here towards closer to the roadway. R2 residentially zoned portion of property. The applicant's requesting the conditional use to allow a 28 by 48 foot, 1,334 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath manufactured home to be placed on the property. Once again, that property is located in the R2 residentially zoned property, which requires them to come before you today for the conditional use permit. Here is a floor plan. I do not have the colored photos, so sorry, but next time I'll get those for you. So 3-bedroom, 2-bath manufactured home. I did include elevations on this one for you, as well as these are in your staff packet as well. Same as the last presentation, they're required to come here for a conditional use permit through the appropriate Board of Adjustments. And then that section 260-280 applies to those manufactured homes that are located outside of our T manufactured home zoning district. Same as the last presentation, I've included both of these in your staff packet. So in summary, the applicant's requesting that conditional use permit for a manufactured home to be placed on that property at 1025 Finley Road in LaGrange. Those conditions of approval, just like the last case, the conditional use permit shall only apply to the application considered at the June 20th, 2024 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. Applicant shall comply with all regulations concerning manufactured homes outlined in zoning regulations section 260-280, and the applicant shall obtain all necessary building permits and inspections from the appropriate agencies before occupying the manufactured home. I did receive several comments and calls about this. I do have a letter that if Jay switches over to the overhead that I'll place on the screen. Try to get that line perfect so everybody can read it. But. I also spoke with the person that sent this letter in a phone conversation, as well as the occupant. If we switch back, if you all are done reading, I'll let Jay switch back to the other.
So Ryan, after you pull that up, if you could pull up this picture again.
Already thinking ahead.
Yeah, all right.
So I'm pretty sure that occupant resides, this house right here.
Hang on.
No, not there yet. Sorry.
There we go. We're good.
Okay. So that occupant that the letter wrote was this adjoining property owner here. So I did talk to her afterwards, and in addition to a long conversation with the occupant of this house, both of their concerns were generally the same, and that was just about the character of a manufactured home being on that parcel of land, what that would do to the home values and the general look and nature of a manufactured home. I did also, and I believe one of them may be here today, this occupant, this adjoining property owner as well had some concerns. I believe this is the one that may be here today. But
So I have a question. So is that looks like that might be a home by the 1025?
Yeah.
There's a building right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see the driveway. How do they access that?
So this is the original parcel of land. So this would be on that tract 1, I believe. We go back to the somewhere around here. Yeah. So that house is on the original tract 1. They're going to try to get a driveway access off of 393. Once again, same as before. That encroachment permit's going to go through KYTC, figure out the best place for that driveway location. They tell them no on 393 because of its proximity to other entrances onto 393. They may have to work something out with this owner, but
How do they get to it right now? I don't see a driveway there.
It is.
yeah, there's a driveway up here.
Oh, it's off to the side.
Yeah.
Over to there.
It comes down this, I think it's called Old Cedar Point Road.
That's right.
And comes in off of this backside. But I believe these occupants are going to ask for one here. When this went through the minor plat process, KYTC did already provide comments on that. But when they get to that point to actually ask for the encroachment permit through the state, they'll evaluate those sight lines and safety similar to the road frontage variance we just talked about a little while ago. So
Is there anything that shows the approximate location of where the home will be on the new lot?
I did not receive anything from the occupant or the applicant, so you can ask them when they come up on approximate location.
And again, just as with the last case, just for the record, there's nothing restricting placing a manufactured home on this property other than requiring a variance.
Correct. Conditional use permit.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Okay. Other questions for Ryan? Okay, thank you.
So I do have a question. So I still, after looking at all this, I don't have a feel for the character of the neighborhood, what it's like. Are most of those, I just don't have a feel for it. I mean, it looks like some of those homes are big homes. Is that a fair statement? I don't know. I can't tell.
I mean, big is a subjective term.
Yeah, I know. But
I mean, they're your typically standard residentially constructed homes. We'll say that.
I guess it's, well, it's going to be up to testimony on that character. I agree. We're going to have to get to that.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
All right, if I can have the applicant come forward, please. Good morning. And I'm going to need to get your name and address and get sworn in.
Current address?
Yes.
Okay, my name's Travis Greer. Current address is 1807 Glen Eagles Way, LaGrange.
Okay, Travis. And are you going to be speaking? Okay. Let me get you sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, Travis. First of all, are you the homeowner? Let me understand where you are with the application here. Are you the homeowner of what we're seeing outlined here?
We're purchasing the land contingent on being able to put the manufactured home on the land.
Got it. Okay. All right, and if you can justify the project, tell us what you're trying to do.
We would be putting hopefully a small driveway off of 393 right there, wherever they see fit to be the left or the right side of it. The home would sit about 30. It would meet the requirements for how far back off the road it needed to be. We basically would like the home was going to look as nice basically as anything on the road. If you drive up and down Finley Road, there's a vast majority of different homes. There's tiny homes. There looks to be manufactured homes on the road. There's giant, gorgeous homes. There's quite a variety, and we would, in my opinion, fit in with that. We want to put this home on there, make a nice property out of it, and raise a family. I'm from Oldham County, so I enjoy this place.
Okay. All right. Questions for Travis?
Can you give us an idea on the new plot where the home will be?
It would sit, it's going to need to be close to the road. Again, it would meet the requirements of how far back off, but you don't see it on these diagrams. There's a massive drainage ditch that runs through all of these properties. About a quarter of the way towards the road, there's a huge drainage ditch that runs, like I said, through all these properties. So we can't go too far back because of that system. But other than that, it.
Use the mouse to give her approximate on that map.
The drainage ditch probably runs about here. So the home would sit, again, I think the requirement's 30 feet, and would be right around in there, and the home will sit to the left of the property, which will be kind of in this area.
So sort of in line with 2875 to the right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for Travis? Okay. Thank you, Travis. Is there anybody here wishing to speak in favor of the application? Is there anybody wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning.
And let me get you sworn in and state your name and address, please.
Raise your right hand.
I'm sorry.
Raise your right.
Raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
And let me start, I guess, with you, ma'am, with your name and address.
Sharon Whitworth,
Sharon, okay, good morning.
3015 North Highway 393, LaGrange.
Okay,
Dave Whitworth, same address, 3015 North Highway 393.
okay. And so just for the record, can you point on the map, use the mouse and point on the map, which address is yours?
This one, 30.
Use the, hang on, Ryan's coming, hang on. You got help coming, here we go.
We're doing. Okay.
That one right there, thank you. Okay. Yes,
We built this house in 1993, lived there for 31 years. It sets 150 foot back from the easement. It's approximately 2,700 acre house. I'm sorry, 2,700 square foot house. And we're concerned about the value being damaged with manufactured home. They're close. Plus, we're set back quite a bit compared to what we're intending, 35 foot off the road.
We have a question about the property.
Sharon, if you can bring the mic down, just so they can hear you in the back.
Okay, they're just talking about 1 acre, but they're showing that whole plot. But they gave us this.
Yeah.
And they're talking about, you said a driveway from the back. But the property doesn't go all the way to the back.
Right, so right now the property is what you see outlined.
Right?
The driveway comes off of the,
Oh, can you explain that to us?
Ryan's here to help.
Another map. So I'll answer this. So this is actually what the tract looks like now. So
Right.
back in 2023, they had approved a plat to create this new lot. So the original thing was the 3-acre tract. They got a minor plat approved to create this. It hasn't shown up yet in our GIS software. That goes through a lot of different things before that's actually carved in. So this is actually what it currently looks like, what you have.
But they're looking at the 1 acre, correct?
Yes, on the front, that tract
So they
too.
would come from the front.
Right.
Yeah,
And
'cause
he-
you-
and he's going to try to, he stated this, that he's going to try to get a driveway access
Yeah.
onto 393. That would go through a process with the state.
You threw us off when you put Finley Mill Road because you sent the letter to 393
Right. Finley Road.
or Finley Road, whatever. Yeah, we just don't think manufactured in this area because up farther down the road there is a manufacturer and you can tell after a few years it's deteriorated. And the 3 people they sent the letter to, we all feel the same way. So that's our opposition.
Okay, all right. Questions, board members? Thank you. All right, is there anybody else wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Okay. Board members, questions for anybody?
I have a question for staff. If you can try to just briefly describe the difference between a manufactured home and a non-manufactured home?
So non-manufactured homes typically built on site, whether slab, basement, whatever. A manufactured home pretty much kind of comes in one piece, sets down on a foundation at that point. I don't really know if I'm doing a great job of telling you the difference, but I think a lot of us kind of have an image in when we hear manufactured home of a single wide trailer that we think, back in the day of that's what they looked like. Now a lot of them are what we would consider the term double wide, that are actually, I don't want to testify, but I mean, fairly nice. When you walk in, it's not a whole lot of difference between walking in a ordinary constructed home and that, so.
Okay.
It gets back to my earlier comment. I guess we need to get educated on what is a manufactured home. We just don't have an appreciation for what they're like in terms of the character of the neighborhood.
Right.
Well, I think,
And I guess my question basically is, there's a manufactured home in a area that homes have been built. Does that have any bearing on bringing down values of property?
yeah, there is nobody here that,
That's what I'm saying.
that's right, that can testify
That
for or
can
against
testify
that.
for or against.
Jim?
Well, I think the most important thing is you have a picture in your packet, rather than us trying to describe the difference between a stick-built home and a manufactured home. Here's what's being proposed. That's what's important. That's the character of what the proposal is. You haven't asked the homeowner, the proposed owner, why they aren't considering building a stick-built house on the property, which wouldn't need to be have a conditional use. So you could maybe call them back up and ask them that question. But this is it. This is what's being proposed.
So I have a question. Is it fair to say that not all manufactured homes are alike? Is it, I mean, or are they similar to each
There are
other?
various styles. There are even two-story styles. When you say manufactured, it's built inside of a enclosed environment. So and it's brought in components. It's not necessarily one piece. It could be two pieces. You know, I've seen them with front porches and second stories. But again, this is what's being proposed.
We'll say I draw your attention to in the staff packet on that section 260-280 for manufactured homes. I mean, it lists several guidelines in there. So those manufactured homes have to have, you know, a label and be certified. They have to have adequate guttering and roof drainage. Even number 5 says the manufactured home should be compatible with or exceed its surrounding homes in terms of style, size, exterior, you know, materials, and SS value. So all of that is included within those regulations. That.
Yeah. So we've closed the floor. We're at a point of general discussion here. So I think I hear concerns. I agree. But in my mind, what we need to determine is the general character, whether it's manufactured or stick. Does it meet the general character of the neighborhood?
Most of that is going to depend on what he does with it once it's built.
Do what?
Most of that's going to depend on what he does with it once it's built. The amenities he puts on the house.
Well, I mean, we don't have any. I don't know what the character is of the neighborhood.
Right, of the neighborhood.
And you know, and therefore I don't know. All we have to go on is this picture here, you know, that Jim just showed us. Right, we got that picture that's in our packet, and then we have the map that Bill, I think you commented on and said, well, I don't know. It looks like you've got houses that are, you know, different sizes and different, you know, distance off the main road, but we don't have a general character of the neighborhood. And as far as general character of the house, that's what we've got.
Right.
That's it. So, you know, I don't know that we have enough to really base a testimony off that. And I think because of that, I'm of the opinion, I think my opinion is to deny it.
Well, when you look at what we have to work with here, the proposed building, it has 3 windows in the front and a entry door, and a medium size and a very small window in the back, and it looks like a patio porch door. I mean, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to think of how this compares to the character of the neighborhood. I just have a really hard time trying to make that determination with what we have in front of us here.
So as Ryan mentioned, every home that is built or brought in requires a label. We've dealt with that before in other circumstances. And that label that goes on that house assures certain things. And in the case of manufactured homes, that label now indicates that these are not the single wide trailers of yore, you know.
All right. I agree.
These are not, yeah, this is the standard for these has been elevated over the recent years. We've also established before that we are not in a position to estimate value or or something lessening the value of a neighborhood because we don't have a crystal ball. We can't determine that in this board. And the only testimony we have about the surrounding area is that there is another manufactured home down the street. And I believe the applicant also said that he thought there might be others. And there's a large variance of different types of homes on Fenley Road. So I don't think we can say from what we know right now that this is going to detract from anybody's value, whether it will or will not. That's really not our call.
I agree. Okay. Anything else?
So again, one of our things in the motions is that it's compatible with surrounding land uses and general character of the area. I just don't feel I'm going to have to abstain, I guess, because I don't have a feel one way or the other if this is compatible or not, is what it comes down to. So,
I don't know if it would be appropriate to abstain, given the testimony that we have in front of us, and that's the direction I'm going. Given the testimony that we have in front of us, do you approve them, the application or not? I'm not asking for an answer, but
right.
but consider that during the motion process.
Okay.
Any other discussion? If not, I'm ready for a motion.
No.
Yeah.
I had a question for the gentleman, one more
We
question.
have to reopen the floor. You want to do that?
Yes, it's important to me.
Make a motion to reopen the floor.
Can I make a motion to reopen the floor, please?
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Floor is reopened, and if you want to call them forward.
Forster. This land, evidently there's something going on that you can get it, and this is why you're putting a house on it. That's why I'm not really asking why you didn't build a house. I know there's some, so this is affordable for you. What you're doing now, this is about affordability. Okay, thank you.
In a way, it's about affordability. Again, this house is, if you were to drive by this house once it's done, it's going to have a deck on the front, it's going to have a deck on the back, nice landscaping. You will not know it's a manufactured home. But yes, I mean, we don't have a lot of money for a down payment necessarily, so we're working with lenders and things like that, and this just seems to be a good option for us to get a 3-bed, 2-bath home. That's going to be, a good-looking piece of property.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, anything else? Board, questions for anybody before I close the floor again? Okay, I'm going to close the floor. Any further discussion? If not, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion. Motion to approve OC 24-032. I'm sorry. I'm on the wrong one. I was referring back to I was referring back to my notes. Pardon me. Motion to approve OC 24-033. For conditional use for a manufactured home on property located at 1025 Fenley Road, LaGrange. The character and objectives of the proposed use and the potential impact on the community and its surroundings are appropriate. Conditions of approval are: the conditional use permit shall only apply to the application considered at the June 20th, 2024 Oldham County Board of Adjustments public hearing. The applicant shall comply with all regulations concerning manufactured homes outlined in the Oldham County Zoning Regulation Section 260 through 280. The applicant shall obtain all necessary building permits and inspections from the appropriate agencies before occupying the manufactured home. And that is my motion.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion. I do want to have one, I don't know if it's appropriate discussion, but I know in the open discussion I had said, I wasn't sure because of the character. And I don't know whether it's stick. I'm torn with this one, whether it's stick or manufactured. It's just a label, and they can put a stick house up that looks bad, that looks nice, and same thing with manufactured. So it doesn't matter what that label is, I guess. It is an appropriate use. Per testimony, he's going to fall within general character. So I will agree with the motion. Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's been approved. I know, I know. Back and forth.
Two different roads.
I'll say aye, sure. I'll say aye. I'll say aye. Just put it down as aye.
I don't
Know
know.
what to do.
I know where Finley Village
I guess you're gonna have
I don't know where
Put it
Finley
down
Village
as
is.
That's fine, either way.
Make it abstained, yeah.
You're right. That's why I
Well,
wanted
I
to know.
appreciate it, yeah. Maybe we do roll calls. All right. Any other business? Minutes, thank you.
Yes, hold on just a second before we get to that.
All right.
So I don't know how we want to proceed with this, and I don't know if Jim wants to give any idea, but the applicant for the first case, which we tabled, has shown up and would like for the case to be heard today. Now, I will have to say that if we do, we'll have to take a recess because I don't have that presentation anymore on my flash drive or the document in my binder because I took it out this morning, as well as maybe talk with her about whether or not what she has shown up with, showing where she owns the property, is going to be something she wants to go forward with. So I don't know how we want to proceed with this. We've already tabled it today, but she has arrived and asked to be placed back on the agenda. So,
Well, I think it is, I'll ask the board, but I think it's of my opinion that it has been tabled. You are not prepared to give a presentation. It's my opinion that we hold until next month. Board?
Agree.
It's such the amount of time that could possibly take to do all of that, and you don't know what that is, and I'm sure people have.
No, it's tabled. We can do it next month.
Month. Over here, you guys agree with keeping it tabled?
Yeah,
All right, if we've tabled it, and that'll give you time to get everything prepared.
all right.
All right, thank you. Now, minutes. Everybody received the minutes?
Yes.
Any modifications? All right, if not, I'm ready to get a motion on the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Minutes have been approved. Any other business?
Yesterday was the filing deadline, so we, as usual, have cases for you. In addition to, we have a couple tabled cases. So we'll meet next month. July 18th, I believe, is the date. Same time, same place.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody? I need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Bill. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Meeting adjourned.